welcome to RPG Research, rpgresearch.com, a 501c3 non-profit charitable organization. We do research and community services using music and role-playing games to help improve people's lives. And today is Saturday, February 2nd, 2019. And from 9 a.m. to noon, currently, we have our Game Master training workshops. So it might be lectures, but they tend to be a little less theory and more applied. So, for example, we've done our voice training, roster cracking, things like that. Sometimes we do some theory where it's, if we've got a GM who can't make any of the Mondays or Thursdays and needs a little bit. But generally, it's more applied. Or especially what Saturdays are for is it's a chance for GMs who can't run a game on Monday or Thursday to practice and run their games on Saturdays, and then we give them useful feedback. And so today we have Dan in Brazil doing his baseline game mastering. So we haven't seen in quotes Dan GM yet, so we don't have a baseline of where he's at, because he's kind of in the beginning stages of that. He comes from a theater background and such, but we haven't seen him GM. And so all of our volunteers, if they're Game Master trainee role, we need to get a baseline where they're at, and then we can measure their progress over time that way. So this is Dan's baseline, and we'll be able to give him feedback and help him out. Now, he is having technical issues with his internet connection, and his webcam was acting up, so he's going to just do it with audio only. If we have to, we can use maps here, and we can stream the map by proxy. But really, part of our training for all our GMs, unless we have a player who has aphantasia or is deaf or hard of hearing and such, we like all of our GMs to be able to do theater of the mind style GMing. What theater of the mind is that there are no visual props outside of your character sheet and a pencil and paper and all that. All of the visualization is verbal. Theater of the mind does not require maps, battle mats, miniatures, whiteboards, visual aids of any kind. So basically, think of the old 1940s, theater radio and such, and you can just listen with your mind, with your ear, and see it in your mind.
Like War of the Worlds.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, man. So, Dan, make sure you turn off your webcam. And there you go. So we'll have Dan doing Theater of the Mind. Now, again, this is baseline. He's not used to that, so, we need to be supportive and considerate about that. And the only big challenge with doing Theater of the Mind is a couple things. One, aphantasia. So aphantasia is the inability to creatively visualize something from a verbal description. So if they see something, they can usually remember seeing it, and it gives them that reference point. But if you only give them verbal references, they're not able to see it. They might have other sensory imagination often, but they're not able to visually see it in their mind, and their that creative thing when you say, I can envision it in my head. And aphantasia is a debated topic. There are people who say it doesn't exist, and there are people who say it does. I've seen enough people who cannot visualize, and I even more recently had a professor, Professor Colts, who does the whole anger management and compassion-focused therapy workshops I've been through, who made it clear he cannot visualize. He can do all the other senses, smell and sound and taste and touch. If you use those things, those he can imagine in his head, but he cannot do the visual imagination in his head. So I'm fairly convinced without having done any formal testing. Hello, Dan. Welcome back.
Sorry for interrupting. Wanted to let you know that I'm ready. I'm a bit disappointed that I can't show off the maps I've made, but we'll proceed as we may.
Yeah.
Just for my information, how many players do we have around the table and the session as a whole?
We have Spokane Dan and myself at the table, and then we have Shane and Danielle remoting in. So you have 4 players.
Perfect.
Now,
Sorry to interrupt. You may continue. I'm ready to begin whenever
good.
you are.
Well, we're here for you, but let me check in with Danielle and Shane. Danielle?
Yeah?
You have you have a character sheet, right?
I have both the digital and the physical character sheet.
Good. Shane?
Which character, I have the whole collection. Which characters are you guys choosing?
We haven't gotten that far yet. That's why I was just checking to make sure you had such things. Shane, are you back? Apparently Shane's not back. All right. Well, we need to dig up our character sheets. I don't know if any are in my starter set there. The kits are all in the bus, in the trailer. But yeah, grab that and see if you've got any. Because I swear my box got cleaned out. But nope, sounds like... But John did say he found stuff, so it looks like he found it. That's good. All right.
If it's convenient, I have all the character sheets here, and I can reference them.
We're fine, Dan. We have multiple copies of the starter set, so I just have to get them out here.
One small question for the group as a whole.
Please.
Would you prefer to do your own dice rolls, or for me to do all the dice rolling in secret, so that you may focus on the role-playing aspect?
So I'm always happy to let the GM do those rolls, because I'm cursed as a roller anyway. And that's how I used to GM back in the 80s. Most gamers now, I don't know, they hate relinquishing that control. But I don't have a problem with you rolling. I could do it either way. Go ahead and ask Danielle what she would prefer.
Danielle, are you there?
Yeah. It just took me a second to get to the thing because I was pulling up my character sheet. I'm good with you doing the rolls. Because I was actually struggling to find a D20 right now.
Oh, fantastic. Don't worry about it.
And Shane, are you back yet? He's still not back yet. Okay. Or he's back and can't hear us.
Or he's back and he can't hear, or when we can't hear him.
Yeah. Well, he's in the text chat, and he would chat. Okay, this is not all of the character sheets. They are missing, unless they just got stuck in something else. You see some laying around there?
Welcome back, Shane. Good to have you back. Sorry for the delay. I know it's a bit of a bother.
So, Shane, we were asking a question. Do you want to do your own dice roll, or are you okay with the DM doing all the dice rolls? Okay, yeah, he's saying DM can do all the dice rolls. And Dan?
Very well. In that case,
Hang on. We have one other to hear from first.
Considering everyone else has
You have a bout of peer pressure.
relinquished dice control, I was originally thinking about just relinquishing dice control as well, but no, I'm not going to buck the trend today.
I mean, I can make it hybrid. You could make your own dice rolls if you wish.
I'm not going to buck the trend.
He's going to go with the group.
I'm going to acknowledge the peer pressure
and go with it.
Very well. I have my roster ready here, but I have not added all of the character skills. So I will occasionally ask you for modifiers.
Right. That's normal.
Very well. Then we may begin.
So we got to pick our characters. So we got and I have 3 to pick from because the others are missing. Great. You know, I wonder if they got doubled up in the other box. So, Dan, do you want the lawful good fighter folk hero human, the lawful neutral fighter noble human, or the neutral good cleric soldier hill dwarf?
Kind of hoping to play the alt wizard.
Yeah, well, I don't have it here. Unless you know what happened. What I'm wondering is somebody stuck it in the other box. Because, as I said, my entire box was empty there for a while. Like, it was completely cleaned out for months. And then people found it in other stuff.
I'll help you and play the healer this time.
You'll play the cleric?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we should make a photocopy of it. You know how to use the copier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can figure it out and use enough of them.
Very well. Have you
So-
thought of a name for...
Yeah, so Dan is playing the Hill Dwarf Cleric Soldier.
Very well. What about yourself, Hawk?
I have always back in the beta days, testing days, I was the lawful good folk hero as well. So I think I'll actually try the noble lawful neutral fighter human. Let's see.
I also have the sheet on here if it's inconvenient.
No,
I
we're
can
fine.
refer to them.
We're fine. So my character's name is going to be Tiberius Cavetus.
I'm Tiberius.
Tiberius Cavetus.
Could you spell the last name, please?
Kvetas.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
K as in kilo, V as in Victor, Echo as, well, E as in Echo, T as in Tom, A as in Alpha, S as in Sierra.
Tiberius Cavetta.
Tiberius Cavetus.
Cavetus. Oh, a very august name indeed.
Indeed.
Could you describe him, perhaps?
My flattery makes those I talk to feel wonderful and important. Also, I don't like to get dirty, and I won't be caught dead in unsuitable accommodation. So that's personality traits. My ideals: responsibility. It's the duty of a noble to protect the common people, not bully them. Bonds. My great axe is a family heirloom, and it's by far my most precious possession. Flaws. I have a hard time resisting the allure of wealth, especially gold. Wealth can help me restore my legacy. Do you want more than that? You want like the richer background, or is that sufficient for you?
That would be sufficient for now. We'll get to other descriptions as we get to the scene. I just need to know everyone's character for now.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Bob. Good job. Dan, so would you like to describe your character, if you want?
Give me just a moment. I'm parsing him right now.
Oh, very well. Meanwhile, Danielle, have you picked a character, or Shane?
I was gonna go with the fighter folk hero. I was gonna name her Emily.
Emily, the first hero.
Emily, A-M-L-Y, Emily, E-M-E-L-Y, Emily.
A-M-I-L-Y?
It's Emily. I don't know how it would be spelled.
Why don't you just
I've heard it
type it in the chat box, the chat room there.
Oh yes, if you could type your character name for the chat box, that would help immensely.
Thank you.
Oh, very well. That clears things up. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Could you just... I'm sorry?
She was agreeing with you.
Oh, right. Would you like to describe her?
She's smart and follows through on everything. And she's not good at pretending to be something that she's not. through the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's from Thunder Tree. And I'm looking for the other person that always comes in handy, and I'm not seeing it.
By the way, Dan, if you're hungry, help yourself to the croissant sandwiches in the fridge here.
Sure.
Because there's way too many for me to
She's
eat.
been a laborer.
I will help you with that.
Thank you.
I don't see how she knows. Main guy. I'm looking for that.
Well, I think we're going to get to that later, right?
Well, it's part of your background stats on the.
Oh, I didn't know he asked you
It's
for that. I
okay.
was just asking for a
We don't
brief.
need to review everything right now. I just want to get a general gist.
Okay.
We get to further detail once we start off in the adventure. Right now, you're all gathered up in the city of Neverwinter. You've come together, most of you likely hired by Gundren Rockseeker, your sort of wagon to Phandelver, a small town to the southeast that has recently been resettled. It promises that one of his friends, Barton, of Barton's Provisions, will pay them 10 gold pieces each for the successful delivery of the provisions that he sets on his cart. He's already left with his friend, a grizzled old soldier, it seems, ahead of you, apparently quite excited to go on this venture.
Cool.
So now, Shane, I'll need to know which character you're using. We have the light halfling and the high elf wizard left available.
And the fighter noble.
Hang on.
The noble is
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I'll take the wizard.
Yeah, please, definitely. Sorry about that. All right, I'm back. What's going on? Did we lose?
I'm here.
Okay. Sorry, we're just grabbing some food. Here.
Dan, I just need a name for your character. If you have said it, I probably missed it, unfortunately.
Oh, I haven't said it yet.
Okay, well, that's a prompt that he needs
Oh,
one.
right. Iron Isaac.
Yes, my name is Fadlin.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
My name is
Could you-
Fadlin.
Could you spell it on chat? That would
Yeah.
probably be a bit inconvenient.
Good.
Faflin, if I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. And, Shane, I don't think I caught which character you're choosing. As in the race and class combo.
I'm playing
No.
Oh, Shane. Sorry. My apologies.
No, it's fine. Oh, right. Leonidas, the High Elf Wizard. Very well. Very well.
Shane, are you having audio issues?
I'm sorry?
Shane, are you having audio microphone issues?
He said that he's trying to avoid too much background noise. Apparently he's in a rather noisy place.
Okay.
I'll keep an eye on chat for his input.
All right.
Very well. After we introduce each other, we set off. Very well.
Sally
in the
forth.
city of Neverwinter. Excuse me?
I said sally forth.
Oh, very well. In the city of Neverwinter, a dwarf named Gundren Rockseeker asked you to bring a wagon load of provisions to the rough and tumble settlement of Phandelver, a couple of days' travel southeast of the city. Gundren was clearly excited and was a little secretive about his reasons for the trip, saying only that he and his brothers had found something big, and that he'd pay you 10 gold pieces each for exporting his supplies safely to Barben's Provisions, a trading post in Phandelver. He set out ahead of you on horse, along with a warrior escort named Sildar Hallwinter, claiming he needed to arrive early to take care of business. You spent the last 2 days following the high road south of Neverwinter, and you've just recently veered east along the Tribor Trail. You've encountered no trouble so far, but this territory can be dangerous. Bandits and outlaws have been known to lurk along the trail. And on that, you walk along the trail. It's a bit rough, and it requires that somebody be driving it. And who amongst you may be driving this wagon?
Well, clearly someone else must do the driving. I always have had drivers in the past. I won't be caught dead driving. That means dealing with the dirty horses and such.
You could always ride shotgun.
Oh, I have no problem with riding shotgun, but I won't be driving.
Very well.
I'll drive.
An excellent choice.
Emily is driving then. Is Tiberius riding shotgun?
Yes, I'm riding shotgun.
Very well. Very well.
Not that any of us knows what a shotgun is, so really I'm riding crossbow.
Yes, that would be more appropriate. Good point. Faflin and Leonidas, you may ride at the back. There's a bit of space. Some of these bags are quite cushy, or you could just walk, or ride a horse, which you have loaned from Gundren. You will need them back, probably, but still, you may ride in front of the wagon, beside it. The road's a bit narrow, but it's possible, or behind it.
I'm going to be on the wagon.
Right. So, Leonidas is riding behind the wagon. Meanwhile, Faflin is on the wagon, probably perched atop one of the softer pieces of provisions.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. And that's how it goes. You like to chat to one another, make some small talk. I know you're probably strangers to one another.
And Game Master, I would suggest that when Shane types something, read aloud what he types for everybody else's benefit.
Oh, good deal. Shane said that he was behind the wagon, which is why I said that Leonidas was behind it.
Right. He also said...
actively scanning the surrounding area at the back of the wagon because this area makes him nervous. And with reason, there have been rumors of bandit attacks in the region. Can somebody make a history check, if you will? Or, I mean, a history modifier.
It's a history skill check. 15.
15. Oh, then you know quite a bit about this region, in fact. This region recently, in distant history, it was attacked by by a band of goblinoids. And that is why Phandelver is being resettled. Phandelver used to be larger than it is now because it used to be a different town altogether. And it was very wealthy. Though the details of the details and particulars of that era might escape you at this point.
Okay.
Anyone else wishes to do anything, make small talk, feel free to.
Well, let me get everybody's names because I didn't catch them all.
Oh, very well. I'll type out the names in chat for posterity. It might be a while, so meanwhile, feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
Well, because I wanted to use their names to talk among them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to use their names to speak to them. So, Danielle, what's your character's first name?
Emily.
Emily, okay. And Shane?
Leonidas.
Leonidas, okay. And Dan?
Faflin.
Or Faflin? Or?
Faflin.
Yeah. All right. And Emily, you're driving?
Yep. So you and me would be the only ones that would be probably.
Right. So Emily, how much do you know about these pods?
Well, I've been helping out around here, so I think I know a fair amount. So should I make a history check real quick?
You may, if you wish. What's your mother?
It's the same side of the character sheet.
It's at +2.
You don't quite recall the history of those parts. You're more... There's quite a lot to it, and you're mostly more familiar with the recent going on. There are a lot of people going to Phandelver in that region.
Okay, so only since I've gotten here, and mostly just the story's the same as mine, coming here to work.
Well, what brings you out this far? What brings you out here?
Someday I will get my chance to drive off the dragon. I thought that being out here would be closest to finding.
Well.
Leonidas says, if I may, he mutters, this locale gives me a dread feeling of trepidation. And Shane, feel free to correct my voice if it's not appropriate to character.
No, that actually sounded pretty good.
Very well. You've been on the tribal trail for about half a day now. You come around the bend and spot 2 dead horses proud about 50 feet ahead of you, blocking the path.
How disgusting!
Each has several black-feathered heads.
I slip the wagon as soon as they come into focus.
You stop the wagon?
Each has several black-headed arrows sticking out of it. The woods press close to the trail here, with a steep embankment and dense thickets on its either side. The horses are in the way of the cart, and the oxen seem a bit remiss to approach them.
How far away?
I stopped as far back as I could.
About 50 feet ahead of you.
So, especially since we're remote, I would highly recommend, Dan, that you enforce turn-taking quite strictly.
Right.
So even if we're not in combat, you might want us to either you establish a turn-taking order or through initiative, but you should do that now, because otherwise we're going to be talking all over each other.
Very well. I shall use initiative order, meaning that the first to talk will be Emily, and then Leonidas, then Faflin, and then Hyperactivity. Is that all right?
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
I'm all right with that.
Emily, witnessing this scene, this carnage, what do you do? The oxen are not moving forward, apparently scared of the dead animals splayed upon the road.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to dismount but stay with the horses, and I want to really look around the scene to see if there's anything that I can see.
Very well. You may choose an investigation or perception check. Please inform me the modifier of the relevant skill you're using.
I'm going to use perception, and it's a +3.
Very well. You cannot see much. These could very well be hunting arrows. They're a bit rough of poor craftsmanship, but otherwise you can't quite out. They are sticking by the flanks of the horses, and that's about all you can, well, plainly see. Meanwhile, afterwards, Leonidas falls out. What manner of villainy is this? And he stops his horse. Just a clarification, that he stopped behind the cart, to the side of it, ahead of it, just for clarity's sake. Behind. Very well. Behind the cart, if I may clarify, sorry, I mixed up the words. I'm assuming that he's still behind the cart. Is that okay? Very well. In this case, Atlan, the Hill Dwarf Cleric, how do you react to this grisly scene?
I'm going to stand up in the cart. And I'm
Standing
going to...
up on the top.
I'm looking around. Something doesn't feel right about this. I would like to, the arrows in the flanks of the horses, from where they're coming from, what direction would would the horses have been shot from?
Assuming whether these horses were coming along the trail on either side, they would have been hit by the side, by the angles they're sticking out of. So it might have been an ambush, hiding in the bushes.
So north, south, east, west, or left or right? When you say side,
you're heading eastwards, so that would be north and south.
Is there any obvious cover north and south?
Yes, there is quite a lot of cover. A lot of underbrush, and the trees come quite close to the road. A perfect ambush spot, in fact.
I don't like the way these things. I don't like the feel of this. It feels like this is an ambush. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna jump out of the cart.
Very well. And Tiberius, how do you wish to react?
it's a trap. I leap out of the cart onto the ground, yanking out a javelin in preparation for what might happen.
Very well. There's something a bit eerie about this place, certainly. It's rather dark due to the shade of the trees. And, well, what do you know? Though you were right to be alert, the ambush spot was a bit ahead of the ambush site, was a bit ahead of quite another one involving you. 4 goblins leap from the underbrush, shouting.
Who is you? Who when you say...
And surround the cart.
Okay, means us. Okay.
2 of them in the front are wielding bows and have very familiar-looking arrows quivered on their hips. The other ones wield rusty scimitars. ready for the party, and they get a surprise round on you. And so, we move on to initiative. May I take the liberty of rolling party-wide initiative, a single roll for every party member?
Yes.
Sure.
Feel free.
Right. Any dissenting voices?
Or text.
Apparently not. So, what happens now? Excuse me a moment. The goblins get a surprise round. Therefore, as the goblin swordsmen leap out of the brush, the goblin archers take aim at two particular targets, the ones in front. Tiberius is the first mark.
Of course, I'm always first.
Oh dear.
I have armor class 17.
Very well.
Or wait, that's probably with a shield.
You
might be
an
lower.
arrow whizzes right in your direction. It would hit your armor, but it seems angled just right to hit you on a joint. Fortunately, you're able to avoid a critical injury due to a quick movement, and you feel winded. It took back to 3/4 of the fight out of you.
Did I take any damage? I think you cut out there for a second.
Oh yeah, you did.
Okay.
Would you prefer to know the hit points left or how much damage it took?
I
prefer hit points left.
I definitely want to know how much I took.
You took 8 points of damage.
Ouch. Okay, it leaves me with 4. All right. Oh, I double over in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a 14 armor class since I was at target number 2.
Mm-hmm. Fortunately for Emily, her vantage point makes the angle of the shot quite a bit difficult for the second goblin arrow, and it whizzes past her head. And now the surprise round is over, and the initiative goes... Emily first, Leonidas second, the goblins third, Tiberius fourth, and Fastland fifth. So, Emily, what shall you do?
I quickly grab out my bow, knock the arrow back, and shoot at the goblin who just shot at me.
Mm-hmm. Very well. I shall roll for you then.
Mm-hmm. It's a +7 to hit.
Mm-hmm. Oh my. Oh my. Oh dear.
And it's a D8 +3 for hit.
2d8 due to what just happened. 2d8 due to what just happened. You have critically injured the goblin. In fact, describe how you shoot with a single arrow you defeat the goblin marksman who had just missed you.
My aim is so much better than him that when I release the arrow, it slits his throat and he collapses before he even knows what's happening.
Very well. And Jane, I see replies. On your turn, you wish to cast magic missile on the goblin archer who has unfortunately hit the nobleman. So, magic missile. I have the reference card here somewhere. If you may, could you? Oh, never mind. I have it here. Magic missile. 120 feet, he's well within range, and 3 darts of pure magic. So that would be, let me see. The goblin's not quite defeated, but a barrage of magic missiles seems to have put some fear to its face. You certainly took that lousy green off its face from hitting your friend, but it's still up. And so, the goblin's turn. So the defeat of one of the numbers has put a damper on their enthusiasm, as they seem to be quite used to. Oh, and Shane shouts, "Have at thee, vile miscreant," as the missiles hit their mark. So the goblin manages to avoid probably one of them, saving its own life. So the goblins seem quite a bit less confident, apparently quite used to easy marks, such as the horses that are laid upon the road. So what happens next is a scimitar-wielding goblin charges at Tiberius, trying to make good on the chance that its wounded ally has granted it. And what happens is unfortunately, he manages to hit. Oh dear. What will become of Tiberius?
When I don't roll.
Unfortunately, Hawk, your dice luck seems to have followed from
No matter where I go.
beyond transnational borders.
No matter where I go, there I am. What did I take?
You take 7 damage and are at -3 hit points. You
I am
have to make
unconscious and have to make death save. All right.
And what did you roll?
A 3. So
Oh,
that is
dear.
not a successful death save. So that's 1 failure.
Oh dear.
I drop to the ground with a, "Oh my, the filth!" thud.
The pressures on as the goblins equalize the number. The second goblin advances from the south and tries to get a shot at Amelie. Due to the difference in elevation, he has a disadvantage on this roll.
Since I'm unconscious anyway.
And he fails, unable to reach her from down there. And now, seeing gleeful that its mark was down, the remaining goblin archer instead turns its attention to the elven wizard at the back, trying to make sure that it does not summon any more magic to harry it. And so, oh dear. Unfortunately, the elven wizard takes a hit. Unfortunately, the elven wizard is struck through his robes. He takes 6 damage and that's 2 left. The goblin seems to bring with vengeance at that. And with that done, Tiberius is down, unfortunately, so on his turn, does he have to make another death save? Or is it just next turn?
I believe
I'm
he
sorry,
should. I believe he should have only been making death saving throws on his turn. So he, considering he's already made one, we can probably bypass it this turn.
Oh, very well. Thank you. Sorry, I'm still a little foggy on these details. I'm used to 3.5 Pathfinder. Very well. So now it is Stockman's turn. One of his comrades is already down. A menacing goblin right next to him, and an archer advancing from the north as well.
How many?
South seems to be a bit more clear as the goblin swordsman fails to strike at Amelie.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure that I clear the. I'm thinking that right now, although we've kind of gone 1-for-1, I want to make sure that Tiberius can get up, but I wouldn't feel comfortable bringing him back up with the goblin so close to him. So I'm gonna charge him with my warhammer and try and strike at him.
Very well. If you are to charge a goblin, the goblin swordsman to the north is the closest mark. You are able to charge at the advancing goblin archer, who is also a bit further to the north, and you could skip over and attack the goblin to the south, who is currently attacking Amelie.
I'm trying to.
The north seems to. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to get to the goblin that just attacked Tiberius.
Just attacked Tiberius.
Yes.
Very well. So you charge down the cart. Am I right?
Well, I'd already jumped out of the cart, so I'm charging around the cart to hit him with my warhammer.
Very well. I shall roll it for you. And that. You hit. And
he's going to take a D8 point of damage plus 2.
And you describe how the weight of your warhammer brings down the vile goblin swordsman. Soldier goblin. Right.
Did I kill him?
Yep, you've defeated him.
Okay, so I charge around and use the momentum of me turning to increase my leverage of my warhammer. I hit him square in the chest, knocking the wind out of him and knocking him out, but not killing him.
Very well. Very good. So now we go to round 2. We have Amelie. There's a goblin right south of you who has tried to slash at you. You currently have
a step back as I loose the arrow.
Very well. You can shimmy over to the other seat of the car vacated by Tiberius and get a shot. I do believe that shots from the high ground have advantage, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
No.
That's 3rd edition.
Oh, they don't.
That's a
Very well.
thing. And a 3.5 D&D thing, I think.
Right.
What
Thank
was
you very
that?
much.
Yeah, that's 3.5. Yeah, they very rarely. If you try to leave, then they get an attack of opportunity, basically. But that's about it, right? Or if you're passing through.
There's also modifiers for being prone. That would affect.
Oh, I mean.
Yeah, they usually now they do a lot of advantage and stuff like that instead.
Yeah.
Or disadvantage.
Right.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused. So she was right near the goblin, and she takes a 5-foot step back, I assume, which does. So that does not take an attack of opportunity, and right. So she fires an arrow, and the result of that is. So just to clarify, high ground does not grant advantage.
No.
Correct.
No. Unfortunately, in the motion of shifting over to the seats, which are rather narrow, you miss-knock the arrow and end up missing. But otherwise, yeah, that's it. So now we move on to Leonidas again. Let me see. Leonidas, it's your turn. Hakim has just defeated the goblin who took down Tiberius, but there's still a goblin archer talking to the north. Feast on Winter. I do not have this on, since this is a spell that is prepared and is not described, could you mind describing it in text for me, please? Just for easy reference, if possible. Otherwise, I'll have to skim through the rule book.
What do you need to know?
Oh, you, I'm sorry, I misinterpreted what he said. Leonidas now feast on winter and cast ray of frost on the goblin. Very well, I have reference for this. I'm sorry for the confusion.
Goblin pops.
Mhm.
So otter pops.
He manages to successfully cast the spell. Unfortunately, the goblin seems quite quick on its feet and quite aware of the wizard's capabilities. A swirl of frost emerges just where it stood a moment ago. A narrow miss, unfortunately. It's a spell attack, so yeah, it has this problem. And now it's the goblin's turn again. The goblin to the south tries to follow Amelie onto the cart, taking her light repositioning as a sign of fear and attack, and misses, underestimating her martial powers. The goblin archer, seeing Faflin so close, decides that it will be best to retreat. Retreating to the west from whence it came, and tries to shoot at Faflin. And through a twist of luck, he manages to hit and deals 6 damage to our dear dwarf, leaving him at 5 hit points. And that's it for the goblin's turn. Now, Tiberius, you must try to stay alive.
18, so I got 1 success on my death save. 1 failure and 1 success. It's neck and neck.
Neck and neck. Will his allies be able to finish the fight before? Well, let's not mention the possibility. Faflin, it's your turn. The goblin archer smirks at the success of his own shot, taunting you from the west. Another goblin seems there's sounds of fighting coming from the wagon to the south as well.
Would I be able to drag Tiberius's body under the cart and heal him at the same time?
You could. I do believe that would be a move and an action, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because my intent is to gain cover for both him and me from the archer and heal him.
That is very possible. You probably take cover behind the cart, dragging Tiberius's body under it as well, and you cast. I assume that is cure wounds.
Yes, it's going to be a D8 plus my wisdom modifier, which is a +3.
+3, very well. Oh dear. You feel the blessings of the divine swirl around you. The result to rescue your teammates likely motivating you to channel quite a bit of power. It's probably been a long time since you felt that. And you managed to fully restore Tiberius. I do assume that he comes back at full health reset to 0 before healing, so he's back at full health. I do assume that he's conscious right now.
Yeah, I bolt upright, hit my head on the wagon. Oh, fall back down. Oh, that vile fell thief. Where are we? What happened?
We're in the middle of battle.
Oh, where's that vile goblin?
Dead.
Oh, good show. So I take a look around.
Very well. I will describe the surroundings on your turn, Tiberius.
You don't have to.
Now,
You don't have to. I've been following. That's what my character's doing, is assessing the situation.
Oh, very well. Thank you very much. Emily's turn. You are standing on the seat of the wagon, dueling a goblin on the narrow walking surface. He's brandishing his scimitar at you from the south.
I try and hit him with the one that I've been trying to hit with the great bow again.
The longbow?
Yeah, or longbow, sorry. I've read great axe or great sword.
To fire from the cart, since it is so small, the goblin would have he would have an attack of opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, or is that still
I'm just firing from where I'm standing.
Huh? I'm sorry?
I'm not disengaging, I'm just firing from where I'm standing.
You are adjacent to the goblin, basically, so that does not create an attack of opportunity?
No.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very
If I
different
was
from
adjacent
third.
to the goblin, and I took a 5-foot step back, that creates an attack of opportunity.
Oh, very well. I see how it works now.
Yeah, they
Sorry,
really reduced the attack of opportunity thing from third edition because it went way overboard in that version. So they really ratcheted that back.
So, unfortunately, from this proximity, every duck and weave of the goblin, it makes him a bit hard to hit. And you manage to hit the seat of the cart with his stature, unfortunately.
Okay.
And Leonidas, it's your turn. You see the dwarf there healing Tiberius at the back of the cart. The goblin archer is still at large, due west, near the bushes, laughing at steam. Meanwhile, you can hear noises of fighting from the wagon. Leonidas? Shane, can you hear me?
He shouted huzzah.
Oh dear, I forgot. He shouted huzzah as Fastling took down the goblin.
Oh, okay.
Oh, very well. The one that hit you is the one that you can see, though the one that is fighting Amelie is probably nearer. To be exact, the one who attacked you is at...
So, I personally thank you. My character did not thank you.
55 feet to you.
Also, he doesn't really know what you did.
The goblin archer to the west, 55 feet away from you. The one fighting Amelie is quite possibly at about 15 to 20 feet. You can't quite tell because you can't clearly see him behind the cargo of the carriage. Very well. Another attempt at Ray of Frost. You move until you can clearly see the goblin. He has his back to you, and you start the incantation. And the result is... Due to the changes in elevation and the way that this goblin ducks and yeeks, you end up overshooting it. You see a burst of frost burst into the sky right here, unfortunately. And that is the remaining goblin's turn. So the goblin in the cart, seeing that it's surrounded, is desperately trying to fight his way through Amelie. His nervousness causes him to miss terribly. Meanwhile, the goblin archer seems to be disturbed by his comrade's shout out, but he's at a safe distance, isn't he? With the dwarf and the other trifling out of the way, he takes aim at Emily, who most likely has her back to them. Oh dear. Oh dear. That's not good. Emily, you suddenly feel a sharp shock to your lower right torso as you take 7 points of damage.
Okay.
An arrow finds its mark on you. So you are down to 5 hit points. And that's the goblin's turn. Now, it is Tiberius' turn.
I dramatically roll out from under the wagon, still with my javelin in hand. How far away is the nearest remaining goblin?
Assuming that do you roll from the left side of the wagon or the right side?
I was on the right side, so I roll back out on the right side.
Very well. You see the goblin, I'd say, 35 feet away from you.
35 feet?
As you roll.
3-5?
35, yes. But
Okay.
you still have some movement left.
So I'll step forward 5 feet and toss my javelin at him.
Very well. You toss the javelin, and it hits its mark.
Excellent. D6 plus 3 piercing.
And Tiberius has the last laugh. Describe how the javelin takes down the goblin.
Well, so I threw it, and as it was whistling through the air, it was like, "Down, you foul, filthy creature! May all your kind be forever wiped off the face of this earth!" And then I start brushing off all the dirt off myself and everything as I watch the javelin go straight into his belly, a little bit out his backside, lift him a little off the ground, and then fall down on the ground, skewering him to the ground, and watching him writhe.
It shouts in its last moment. 2 goblin corridors is joined. The goblin swordsman, seeing itself surrounded and isolated, is extremely panicked right now as Safran seizes the initiative. It does not seem to have much hope, the goblin that is. Though, of course, Safran, he can hear the noises of fighting, but they do subside somewhat.
From my position under the cart, can I see the position of the last goblin?
You would have to move either to the north side of the wagon, the right, or the south side, the left. Probably the left side, to the south. Since that's where the goblin came from.
Yeah, I'm gonna move to the left side. Can I see the goblin?
Very well. As you make the bend to the left side, you see a goblin. You see a goblin holding a scimitar before its face. It does not seem to be trying to swing, and it shakes vigorously in terror. It does not see you in panic. You may approach it if you wish.
I am going to cast a Sacred Flame on him.
The Sacred Flame. 60 feet, and he must make a dex save. Let me see. As you mutter the incantations, he notices you and jumps in the way. Luck carries the goblin away from the burst of holy flame, unfortunately. And you are officially the unluckiest party I have ever run in my life.
Did he disengage from me? Do I get an attack of opportunity?
It's just flavor text. He remains right as he is. He just jumped out of the way because he succeeded on his dex save.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, if I may, the goblin, as this round ends, gets on his knees and begs for his life. speaking in broken common. You! Oh, I just this patrol, my first one. Not like the last one, no. You're a brigade, talking about the dwarves, the horses, the man. He seems angry, so every time he looks at any party member, he shrinks a little bit. The goblin is still at the seat of the carriage. What? In initiative order. Let's continue this. It's no longer in combat. He has given up. But what? How does Emily react to this?
I take out the rope and tie his hands.
He sings a little arm, a little bit jittery, but he certainly does not resist. How do you tie him?
I tie his hands behind his back and check for weapons and make sure that they're just his wrists together.
He has his rusty scimitar, a small knife that he attaches to his small cloth belt, which holds up his loincloth, which is everything that he wears. Actually, no, he does have a bit of dirty hide armor, but you managed to get everything off of him. He leaves from it. Wait! I was bullied into it. I did not want it. Nobody wants, really. I mean, not everyone, not nobody, but I don't. That counts for something, doesn't it? And now it's Leonidas' turn. He can see the goblin from behind begging for mercy. So Leonidas asks the goblin, "How now, minor miscreant? Who is your master?" And with that, let me just double check. God is a boss. Not that we want him, but he's the strongest, so nobody can do anything about it. God is the laser. Please, brave adventurer, save us from his grasp. I cannot show my face in defeat to him. No, he'd skin me alive and use my skin as a pigskin. Maybe two. I can get a bit on the portly side, but even so. Clark? Oh, and Shane asks, "Where does this Clark reside?" And the goblin's answer is, he's at the hideout. Yes, the hideout. You will come to know, overthrow Clark. Yes, goblins will be grateful. Has very many treasures. Has very many good things. Yes, and so from, found on the trail. Yes. And I'm just going to give the turn to Tiberius, since
so I saunter on over to the goblin that I had skewered and daintily remove the javelin that, is sticking through it and wipe the goblin ichor off on its uniform or clothing. And then we'll slowly saunter on over towards the pleading goblin, javelin pointed in its direction, but, just menacingly but slowly, with a grin heading towards his direction, slowly.
The goblin takes a look at Tiberius and then starts trying to avoid eye contact, begging for mercy at Emily, who has been attacking the most. Or at least has attacked them in combat. So now, Austin, it's your turn. You can still see the goblin right from the angle from before, from behind, but now he's tied up and surrendered. What do you do?
Quietly, I'm going to. I've already acknowledged that goblin is pretty much well taken care of. I'm going to move towards the goblin that I had knocked out, and I would like to use a medicine check to see if he's still alive.
I'm sorry, what check?
Medicine. I have a +5.
Medicine. Oh, you don't need medicine for that. You are a very disciplined soldier, and it shows. The goblin might have a bit of a concussion after that mighty blow, but otherwise his belly rises and falls with breathing. His nose is bleeding from being... Oh no, he was hit on the chest. I'm
Yes.
very sorry. Yes, he's winded, but non-lethally so.
Then I would like to disarm him, and anything that I take off of him, I want to make sure that I put at least 10 feet away from him. And when he's properly disarmed, I'm going to tie him up and then revive him.
Very well. He also has a rusty scimitar, so it's not a dagger. And he wears dirty hide armor, easy to take off of him, very light. And you heal him, so that's the cure wound spell.
No,
right?
I'm not healing him. I'm using my medicine skill to revive him. I'm not wasting a spell slot on a goblin.
Yeah.
Oh, very well. And you mentioned your medicine was?
I have a +5 in medicine.
+5. Easily done. It is patched up right and nice. A bit of salve on the wounds after stirred him up. He, well, he is very clearly pretending, as he wakes up, he tries to pretend to play dead, his tongue dangling from his mouth. And he's making noises.
Considering he's tied up...
When he notices that his dog probably does not convince you, he does it even louder and with feeling.
Considering he's tied up, I'm gonna do a very easy trick to break him out of it. I'm gonna hold his nose.
Why? Don't go on, I said. And with that, if you wish, I think I'll take a little break from turn taking just to speed things along. Does anyone in the party want to do anything to the goblins, or?
I'm just gonna walk. I'll just finish slowly sauntering up with a menacing smile up to the one goblin and hold the javelin tip at its throat and just smile menacingly.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
He seems very cooperative in that particularly governing kind of way at the gesture. He's apparently quite used to this sort of predicament. Anyone else?
I just stand over him. Watch him.
Well. Mm-hmm. So, your, oh, right, and Shane, he takes, oh, sorry, Shane, I've been remiss with your messages. He says, speaking of inspecting wounds, isn't Lioness suffering from a bad one? So he would like to vet enough to get his spells off back and maybe quit bleeding. So I take it as a proposal for a short rest, meaning that each of you may recover 1 hit dice worth of hit points. Do you agree?
Yes.
Very well.
Yes.
So, let me roll the hit die here. I take a small moment. An update, then. Tiberius is back to his feet after being healed by Fastman's magic. He has 12 out of 12 hit points. Fastman himself rests enough that he's also back completely on his feet. 11 hit points. Leonidas has Leonidas is still a bit brave, but he mostly manages to recover from the shock of his wounds, so he has 7 out of 8 hit points. And One moment. Emily recovers completely, getting back to her feet, even after being pincered by the goblins. What impressive, that. So, the goblin, two goblins capture. One has given up on his acting dead, and the other seems to still have the shape. Still, you lie before a grisly scene of two dead horses, and two ambushes so far. Well, the rumors are certainly correct on the outlaw thing. So you did not hear mention of goblins. What do you intend to do now? One of the goblins, however, seems a bit impatient, the jittery one. His fear turns into flattery. Oh, mighty ones, oh, heroes, save goblin-kind from the scourges above their tyrant. Please accompany me to the hideout. We shall oust the tyrant, and you shall be heroes of all goblin-kind.
I doubt that.
I'm going to whisper to the goblin that is beside me and say, watch how your companion betrays you.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Did you repeat that, Dan?
I whisper to the goblin that I'm beside. See here. Watch how your friend betrays you. He betrays all of your kind.
He takes a look at his friend with a bit of disdain and looks at you with a bit of fear, and his ears set up like a cat to hear his friend's word, and suddenly his chest swells, even though he's hurting, and says, "Oh, please, little heroes, he's a tyrant, you can help us. We set traps along the trail, but we know exactly where they are, and in fact, we can help you, if quite a lot of nasty spiders along the way. We are the only patrol sent this week. There would be nobody waiting for you. They're expecting us. Yes, expecting us back."
So both goblins are happily betraying the bugbear?
Both goblins say so, yes.
Yeah, okay, just making sure I understood that correctly. Filthy
So what's the
scum.
fuck to do?
Not even loyal to their own disgusting, putrid kind.
Oh, and he said the thing about the sentries and the traps precisely because Leonidas had said that they better warn the party about them. Just an acknowledgement. What did you say? Tiberius?
So Tiberius said, disgusting, filthy scum, not even willing to be loyal to their own putrid kind.
That is rich coming from you. Why?
Which one said that? Which one said that?
Huh?
Which one says that?
Oh, the Braver Goblin, the one who was taken down by Parkland.
Who and how far away is that one?
He is, he's probably beside you.
Okay, but not the one with the javelin at his throat. 'Cause the moment he insults me, I'm going to prick his throat with my javelin. Not trying to kill him, but to draw blood.
Why? If a human starts going to say, ow, ow, and he's bleeding and he's silent.
Good. I don't even have to say a word. I just give him a smile, a menacing smile.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. His words trail off, and he looks down.
Okay.
I assume he's also tied up, right?
Yes. I have him tied up with his hands behind his back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, brave heroes, if you are not convinced by my plight, then I shall share all I know, if I may. The cowardly goblin says, clearly intimidated by all the 3.5 choices. We number at about 2/10 in our hideout. Still, we're unable to take down the bugbear. Bug is a handsome guest. Normally serves our king, King Grove. But he thinks beyond his station. Oh, he does.
So if we were to do you this favor of to bringing down this bugbear, you say, what's going to happen from the power vacuum? Because whenever there's a power vacuum in any hierarchical structure, there's either someone to fill the vacuum or chaos and anarchy.
Boss Unique, yes, Boss Unique is the second in command of the hideout, so he deserves better. He's very, very clever, much cleverer than big three-quarters brute. Yes, yes.
And is he someone who's going to give us ongoing grief and just continue the legacy of this bugbear? Or is he someone who's open to trade and negotiation, perhaps?
Well, someone of your nobility and stature, well, certainly you could be the Baron of Cragmore. Vassal, he could be your vassal. Yes, yes. Isn't it glorious? A bunch of well-armed, clever goblins on your employ. Yes.
I don't
very
think
good, no?
goblins are glorious in any way, but you are speaking my language.
We have gold. Plenty of gold. Why, you would not believe how often people drop gold around these trails.
Well, I can imagine. I look at the others.
Anything else?
Considering that I guess I have the more wily of the goblins, I'm going to tell him that, I think you've got a bit of a smart mouth. Let's fix that. And, with some of the extra rope, I use it to basically gag him.
He is gagged. He does not resist it, so he kind of gnaws and grumbles about it. It's very uncomfortable for him.
And I tell him, if you continue gnawing, I'm gonna have to remove your teeth.
He ceases the gnawing. The Checkery lad of the goblin team seems quite eager to lead you on after 1 hour's rest and restoration of Leonidas' spell. He says, he points his nose
That's what I call these as
in
game
a
master
pointy
workshop.
way at the north. That way, you can untie me, and I'll lead you there. Yes, I know tracks.
Or, what we could do is, we can tie you up, and you can just lead us on a string. With a lead.
Yes, I'm used to be on a shoestring budget with my employees. Yes.
We're not talking about finances here.
Oh, finance leashes, what's the difference, really?
To show the point, I pull up the other goblin, who I now have on a lead, and his hands are tied behind his back, and he's gagged. He's like, walk forward here, you know? Show us where your camp is.
And with that, the goblins will. One question though, what becomes of the cart? It's still in the middle of the road.
I hide it back in the brush, near where they're leading us, but like so that no one will obviously see it.
Brushes, as any art utensils are rather small to accommodate for such a large view. I'm just kidding you. I understand that it's in the plan. You can easily do that. It's very thick here, and you manage to find a little cubby hole covered with leaves. This place is a very good ambushing spot and a very good hiding spot as well. Seems secure enough.
I'm also going to use some of the oxen to pull the horses off of the road.
Very well. It's a bit of a dirty job to fly overhead, but you do manage to get rid of them.
And I am nowhere near the dirty job.
Of course not.
I'm still fastidiously cleaning myself off from the dust from being under the wagon. And by the way, I want to point out, I already pointed out to Dan, but though I personally, as a player, thanked Dan for saving my character, it is to be noted my character did not say a single word of thanks to the dwarf. Part of it is he's not aware of exactly what happened. And part of it is he's just not that considerate.
Mm-hmm. I leave PC interaction to the players if you
Right, but that's to share for the others and also the audience because they can't hear when we're doing side conversations, so that's just to have people in the loop, that's all.
And I did catch Lionat's words, sorry, but I didn't have an opportunity to say them aloud before. Lionat said, "You are going to cause the little vermin's head to explode if you keep this line of inquiry. Let us be rid of this plague and append the brigand's plunder." And with that, they set off. I do assume that Lionat's horse can stay behind, can be hidden in the brush. He's a very disciplined horse, so there are no loose ends here. And Leonidas will be jotting notes of his adventuring tone for posterity while the horses are being moved. Very well. That. The goblins lead you through the underbrush. Sometimes you can't see nothing but the leashes as they move the little leaves around. Rather amusing, perhaps, to some. And after about 10 minutes heading down the hidden trail, the goblins stop. The loyal, in quotation marks, goblin points out a snare on the ground and says, "Hee, I'm loyal, I'm reliable. I remember setting his snare. Never caught anyone. Would have caught you. I mean, nobody will have caught you. No, such a simple trap. Yes, yes." And he gladly helps you either circumvent it or avoid it. Further ahead, another 10 minutes.
I'm going to use my hand axe to dismantle that snare, so that I'm assuming it has some rope in it. I want to salvage the rope from that snare.
Oh, easily done. The rope is added to your inventory. It's a length of about, let's say, 15 feet.
Thank you.
Another 10. Huh?
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Another 10 minutes down the trail, the goblin lead suddenly comes to a halt as one of them apparently falls to the ground. Though not quite. Who's holding the leash?
I'm holding the leash.
Dexterity save, please. I mean, what's your... oh, I have it here, I'm sorry.
I have a -1.
1. You managed to hold on to the leash, so you probably stumbled forward a bit as one of the goblins suddenly remembered where they put the pit trap. So perhaps a second too late. One of the goblins lies face down on the mud of the pit trap. And the other one, the brave one, seems to be repressing a smirk through his gag. The goblin seems to be unconscious due to the snare, however. Wait, no, never mind. He's not. He's a bit bruised, but not particularly wounded. He can easily climb back out. Though snarling and mumbling something, he's a bit less talkative after this incident, but continues to lead the group wordlessly, avoiding the trap, obviously.
Before he starts moving us again, I want to ask him. About how much longer is it to your base?
Not much longer, he answers grumpily. Not much longer at all, just, it's a half day's travel.
And are there any more traps?
I'm sorry?
Are there any more traps?
Well, I did find 1 out of 2. Well, 2 out of 2. I'll count that as a success, yes. No more traps from here on out.
See, I don't exactly believe that. Because we're heading to your base, and you still got a mouth. I'm gonna gag him as well. Anything from now on, you answer with either a nod or a shake of your head.
He nods. So, any questions?
I let them lead us.
Alright, you let him lead them. And then, after half a day's of travel, that's what? Oh, Lineup tells Faflin, probably a bit worried. We need them to be able to call out to other other ambushes. But tell them not to attack. As you venture deeper into what is supposedly Goblin territory. Thick underbrush as you venture further in.
I'm more worried about them betraying us.
Fair point. Does the party take a particular side on this dispute? Any opinions? Otherwise, as you continue forward...
Yes, onward and forward to glory. Or at least wealth and power.
I concurred with with Dan's character that I've lost the name.
Faflin.
Very well.
Faflin.
2-4, one wanting to move forward, and 1 nay means that the goblins remain gagged. Though they are relatively responsive, they get a bit tired of it ahead. Thick underbrush along the trail. It's 30 goblin size, and as the sun rises to the height of the sky, you might take a short break for a meal or trail rations. Then the sun starts to go down. It's not yet twilight as you come across what seems to be a mountainous, a rocky outcropping. So you are, let me see here. You are heading eastwards, and you see to the north a rocky outcropping. Before you is a gently flowing river that seems to flow from a small dark cave to the northeast of you. Across the river seems to be quite a bit of underbrush, very thick, forested. Let me see. Following the Goblin's trail, hold on. Following the Goblin's trail, you come across a large cave in a hillside 5 miles from the scene of the ambush. A shallow stream flows out of the cave mouth, which is screened by dense briar thickets. A narrow, dry path leads into the cave on the right-hand side of the stream.
I'm gonna stop the goblins.
And they stop, so they seem eager to go in.
Is this your base?
Both nod. One vigorously, the other a bit more slowly and reluctantly. The more defiant one slowly.
I ask, is there anyone waiting outside?
They look to one another. One seems to want to nod, the other tilts his head. It's as if they are legitimately unsure. So of course, you could roll sense motive if you wish.
I will go ahead and do that.
Right. Which is your modifier?
My insight is +3.
They certainly don't have that mischievous part to the eye when they do so. It's as if they are legitimately in confusion and disagreement to you.
If there was a guard, where would it be? Nod with your head towards the way.
Both point with their noses at what they think the guards are. One points with a disappointed look at the mouth of the cave, and the other points to the pit across the stream.
Who wants to check out the thickets first?
I'm gonna help you check out the thickets.
So, Emily and Staplen are going to check out the thicket.
And I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
leave
be
the
very stealthily.
And I'm gonna leave the goblins with Tiberius.
I sneer my nose at their stench.
What does Siberia do with their leashes then?
I step on them, but I won't hold them by my hand. I will stand on their leashes.
Very well. With his armor and his firm warrior's posture, he'll probably stay like that. I'll need stealth modifiers for hold on. Lionize says, perhaps we should ignite the shrubbery to flush out our quarry.
Let's just see if there is anything over there first.
The goblins seem to shudder a bit at the suggestion, and I'll need to know the stealth modifiers of both Emily and Faflin, assuming Faflin will accompany her.
I have a -1, but I also have disadvantage.
Very well. But you
I'm
company closer, right?
I'm gonna let Emily take a much farther lead ahead from me because I realize that I'm a bit slower, and my armor would make it a little I'm a bit more cumbersome.
Very well. You do your best to not make too much noise as you likely approach the stream, and as Emily goes over to it. Emily, you notice that you will have to walk into the stream to reach the thicket, but from the stream itself, due to the difference in elevation and how thick they are and how thorny they are, it seems extremely difficult to get through them. But as she comes close, she finds that there is a bit of a clearing to the left, which means northward towards the cave. It's a bit dark there, shaded due to the trees, but still she could follow along behind the thicket there.
Yes, I'll follow along by the thickets. But very, very cautiously, very, very slowly, and very, very silently.
I try my best to follow in her footsteps and still a little bit ways back.
Very well. I would assume you do not cross the stream then, Hoffman.
Across the streams.
I'm going to cross it slowly.
Cross it slowly. Your heavy steps splash a bit on the shallow river. You have good footing there. It's not too difficult to cross. And ahead, Emily might notice something. Something moving kind of thicket.
I stopped. I just lost stream again. I put my hand up to just signal to stop.
I stop immediately.
And Faflin, will you stop?
I do. I stop immediately. In fact, I actually crouch lower.
Very well. Emily, what you see is a creature that is low on the ground, like a stalking predator. you're not sure if it is aware of you, what do you do?
I signal back that there's someone here, and I knock an arrow.
You knock an arrow.
Back, and then I'm gonna hold my action and wait to see what I see.
Very well. What's your perception modifier?
What's my what modifier?
Perception, please.
+3.
Very well.
I'm also going to be looking for immediate threats.
There you see it, low to the ground like a stalking predator. After a closer look, you see the apex in a drunkenly sleeping goblin with a jug clasped on its hand. Oh, and there's another one who's similarly sleeping in a fetal position. They are apparently the sentries that the goblins were trying to indicate, and due to the discipline that you've seen before you, apparently they were in doubt of whether they were if they were in the right post or not. They are not aware of Emily.
Okay, I'm gonna slowly go back, and report this to everyone out of earshot of the goblins that are asleep.
Very well. You're able to cross back in the stream without trouble. The alcohol makes the goblins heavy sleepers, as I assume, and you're able to report back to the party. The entire party now... Oh, go ahead.
There are 2 sleeping goblins behind the thicket. Should we just take them out, or should we tie them up? They look rather drunk. I could probably sneak in there and get at least one if someone else...
You're talking to the 2 of us back there, or just to the
to
dwarf?
everyone,
Okay.
because I would have signaled for everyone
Well,
to come back.
if we truly want to help take the reins of power here, rather than just incur more banditry, perhaps taking each of them prisoner or asking them to join their compatriots' cause would be more to our help, especially with only 4 of us. Perhaps, I mean, not that we can trust them at all, but if we perhaps capture and, knock them unconscious, tie them up as we go, we might be able...
Unconscious, they're already drunk.
Right, but if we capture and tie them up and gag them as we go, rather than slaying them, it seems more likely a popular uprising could work to our advantage, yes?
I foresee that being very possible.
If nothing else...
Just a moment, because Leonidas wants
Yep.
to say something.
Yep.
At this conversation, Leonidas interjects with a hit in a loud whisper. Why did you not just slay the vermin? If there are less goblins there, if there are less goblins, there are less brigands, he argues.
If nothing else, I just prefer not to get their blood and ichor on my clothing, but the possibility of using them to our advantage has some appeal, as disgusting as they are, to just wiping them out and creating a power vacuum. Now, if we have people and forces to fill the vacuum, well then by all means, please go ahead. But if we're just going to slay them and create a vacuum for potentially more trouble, perhaps maybe we can use them to our advantage. Let's drown them.
Yes, and he also adds, then let's drown them.
Again, if you don't mind the potential anarchy and trouble, go ahead. It was a suggestion. I hate goblins just as much as the next person.
I don't feel too comfortable assassinating someone as they sleep.
They're goblins. That's like saying assassinating predatory coyotes.
Yeah, there's good sportsmanship and there's bad sportsmanship.
Indeed, indeed.
So what I says,
We can tie them up.
what
I
I
just leave them there.
no, what I'm thinking what I'm thinking is we tie up the ones that we can tie up. Anyone that dies because of self-defense, they die. But once we've established what's going on, we could possibly judge them, and if any of them truly seem unrepentant, then we execute them, because then they've been given a chance. And maybe the example of the ones who are unrepentant will coax the others into changing their way of life.
I'm just down for tying them up. So I start sneaking off to go tie them up. You guys can do what you want afterwards.
Sounds
I
fine to
follow
me.
you.
Do I really have to stay back here with the filthy goblins?
Very well.
Alright,
And,
sneak off.
Okay. I just roll my eyes.
Leonidas then moves to the goblins and can see them wink at the party, indicating that he's just trying to scare the captives.
Okay.
And so, as Emily nears them again, if she's approaching a bit closer this time, and not to tie them up in the sleep, I assume, I will do another stealth check. There's a modifier again.
+3.
+3. The goblins, as she nears the first one, it suddenly rolls to the side and promptly belly up and promptly relaxes again. How does she try to tie him up?
I just grab both hands and feet and try and tie them together as fast as possible, while keeping an elbow in the mouth so that
Very well. And with that, surprisingly, it does not wake up. It rolls onto its side, but it seems to be out cold. And the other one, I must say, is not much better. He is also able to be tied up.
And they're both still asleep?
I'm sorry?
And they're both still asleep once I get them tied up?
Yep.
Then I just go ahead and go walk back to the party and say, well, they're incapacitated. And I didn't even have to do anything.
Okay, I'm gonna move into the thicket and assess the situation.
Mm-hmm. Fastland sees 2 very sleepy, tied up goblins. And judging by the size, a very human-sized portion of what seems to be alcohol, it's safe to wager that they will be like that for a while.
Is there any alcohol left?
There's a little bit. The goblins were thorough, but not so much. So a lot of the latter of it used to have evaporated by the stains on the glass. It smells very strongly alcoholic, with a hint of earthy mushrooms.
Mushroom alcohol. Considering I'm a dwarf, can I tell the quality of it?
Oh my, that's, as a soldier, you have quite the experience with these exquisite liquors.
Hello?
You can tell that it is, it's the kind of drink that barkeep serves to drunkards as a subtle signal that they are overstaying their welcome. It is of poor quality, though of high alcoholic content.
Okay, so I'm gonna help move them out of that. Or do you think the thicket would be a good place to store all of the? Do you think the thicket would be a good place to store all of these captured goblins, or would we want them more in the open?
If we could find a small ravine that also has things we could tie them securely to, so they'd be thoroughly out of sight and not heard if they were to call out. Not too deep a ravine.
We could put them all back in that pit.
There we go. That. Although their compatriots might come along, but that certainly is one possibility.
Just a clarification, the pit is a few miles back.
Oh, never mind.
So that's
Maybe a quick cursory scouting around to see if there's a ravine, a little river inlet that's dry or something that tucks them out of the way both of sight and sound, perhaps away from the beaten path.
That's why I was thinking about the thicket.
Well, yes, but how much they won't really hide their sound well. They could rustle quite a bit.
True.
Just if there are any others out on patrol that might come along.
you could check downriver. It's a bit more thickly forested and a bit hard to move, but it is a ways away.
And then, and if the forest is thicker, then tie them well to the trees and such.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna fill the alcohol. I'm guessing it's a pitcher of alcohol with some of the river water.
Mm-hmm. You now have an alcoholic drink that will probably be served to a drunkard who is very much drunk and still paying full price for what some boys might call human-grade alcohol.
So I'm guessing we're finding a spot further down the river, and then tying all of them to the trees there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, easily done. Though of course the sleeping goblins would have to be carried.
No, I'm going to use the jug of alcohol, really diluted alcohol water, and I'm gonna pour it all over them to wake them up.
Oh there.
Did you gag them first?
You splash water into one of them, and he goes in a feverish range of, not again, drowning, and promptly goes back to his. He is unlikely to wake up.
Hey guys, I'll be back in just 1 moment.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
Shane will be back in a minute.
All right. In the meanwhile, Ionitis says, just stick leaving the mouth and tie the leaves in place with a gag.
Yeah, I'm gonna help gag them, and then after they're gagged, I'm gonna pour water over them again, and if he's not waking up, I'm gonna smack him across the cheek.
He does wake up faintly. They're blinking, eyes still clearly very narrow. Even the afternoon light seems to offend its eyes. Was I? It does not seem completely aware of who you are, though it seems pliable. And very much in a hangover.
I give him a stern look. Walk.
Of course, right.
We're here. We're here as part of the Goblin Liberation Front.
I give him a long, sideways glance.
Setting you free from your bugbear. We're setting you free from your bug. We're setting you free from your bug. We're setting you free from your bugbear oppressors in exchange for potential trade and work negotiation contracts in the near future if we set you free of the yoke of your enslavers. Help the peasantry to rise up and they will serve you loyally. Yeah, so I say to the dwarf, help the peasantry rise up, and they will serve you loyally, and you won't have to pay them. And you won't have as much trouble with them, and you won't get your your clothing filthy with their
To
blood.
whom do you address it?
Even though the peasants are revolting.
I'm sorry, who are you referring to?
I'm talking to the dwarf.
Speaking to.
Talking to the dwarf as we're...
Oh, sorry.
The fine actress has returned.
Welcome. I'm rambling on with noble elitist ideology.
So nothing new then.
Exactly.
Very well. The drunken goblins seem quite out of it, and some even fall face down in the river and try to drink up the water right then and there. They can be helped up to their feet, though that usually does not last too long. But eventually, you may make your way to the more distant trees, but they'll probably be out of sight, out of sound range, and out of mind. Perhaps. And with that done, you're left with the surroundings of the cave completely cleared. The water still rushes coolly down it, and there is utter darkness at the cave mouth. It's rather small.
I actually wanted to keep one goblin with us, specifically the one who was less ornery.
I'm sorry, what?
I actually wanted to keep one of the goblins with us, the one who was cowering and scared and more compliant to us.
Oh yes, that one.
Bring this sniveling traitor.
I'm sorry, Shane?
I said bring the sniveling traitor.
So Shane, do you... The way to help with your feedback is if you have any headphones.
Not that are currently functioning, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, Leonidas can hold on to this missing traitor. He does not seem to care much who has him. He seems quite more loyal to his fellows than to you, at least so far. And follows you wherever you may lead.
Before we get back to the caveman, I asked him to draw a map in the dirt with his foot of the cave.
He draws the map. It will take a little while.
Yeah,
and
I
what
know.
he draws can be described as
different versions. He still has some of the other files.
a very artistic rendering,
But I think
which
it's
he
lost
does
out with the
at
color.
least has a few artistic liberties in terms of proportion, but he guarantees that it is all that there is in the drawing is there. Though the twigs and the rocks, they're not that small. They're at the scale, for the most part. And so, at the cave mouth, he said there are gnarling, scary things. Oh, you do not want to go through here unprepared. Monsters, giant, four-legged, sharp beasts. And up along the river it goes, there is main path, up, and up to the dams. But be careful. If you are found out, they will block the dams and you will be washed away down the river and onto the waiting waterfalls below. Which seems rather unlikely considering that this is a rather shallow stream. And then after the dam, there is him. Oh yes, Clark. He makes noise and boasts of conquest. Say he's big warlord. He's big, but not big warlord. Oh, we could help. Many goblins before him could rile them up. With your help, he could overpower Clark. And then there's the whole west part of the cave, but that's only where we sleep, and that's all. He indicates a hastily drawn western part of the cave.
And how many would be there this time of day?
This time of day, how many were out there? How about, what comes out to dinner? Oh, 15.
How many would be sleeping and how many awake?
Oh, it depends. We got sent out, so that means that we're running out of drink. So people are probably more awake than not.
And you said there was a second in command. Where would he be?
Oh, the McHate Clark's blaster. He stays at the left side, yes. Left side. He was up quietly. He mentions offhandedly.
Okay.
Okay. So, I still think it'd be best to have him lead us through here, because then we can at least use him for leverage. But I'd still prefer if he's gagged at least most of the time.
Until we need him to speak, yes,
Yes.
of course. You can't trust a goblin.
I would note that goblins, being a craven lot, if they see him in our company, they will probably just slay him. I doubt we could use him for much leverage.
Not leverage, information as needed as we go.
And if they're attacking him, it means they're not attacking us.
And if he's an arrow stopper, so much the better. Or javelin catcher.
Yes, except for you are the largest target here, my friend. They'd probably go for you first.
Well, yes, that's always a consequence of such things, but... Oh well. Onward. Upwards.
Mm-hmm. So, what's the marching order? I assume the goblin is on the lead, so need the one with the leash to be right behind him. And who would that be? I assume it would still be Leonidas. Is that right?
I'm going to take the lead.
I'm sorry, Dan, what did you just say?
Oh, I said that as you venture inside, I assume that the goblin will be on the front. Am I correct in assuming so?
Yes, and I'm holding the lead.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I was referring to Dwarf Dan. I'll since I can see really well in the dark, I'll take up the rear.
Okay.
Oh yes, what's our light
I can't
source?
see at all. Once we enter the pathway, I want it to be in the middle. But like really close to Leonidas.
And as
You know, the squishy one.
we head in the cave, I cast light on the head of my warhammer.
Mm-hmm. Very
Oh,
well.
that's quite handy.
Just to confirm, so at the front we have the goblin. Right behind him we have.
Faflin.
Oh, all right, Faflin. And behind him, in the middle, Emily. And after that, Tiberius or Leonidas.
Leonidas probably should go ahead since he can see in the dark, right?
Leonidas,
Well,
I'm
actually,
taking
I
the
was
rear.
thinking,
Oh, you're going to take up the
I was
rear?
gonna take. I figured since Dan can see dark in front,
Yeah.
I would take up the rear. So
All right, that's fine.
I'm
Yeah,
second.
then I'll be second to last.
I'm sorry, Shane. It's very hard to understand you. I'm sorry to ask this, but could you type your suggestions?
He's going to be. He says he's going to be in the rear because he can see in the dark. So I'll be second to last, and he'll be in the rear.
Right.
And I try and stay as close to Hawk's character as possible.
Right. So as you go, you reach the mouth of the cave. Faint sunlight, or what remains of it this day, manages to penetrate there. You see the mouth of the stream. However, to the right as you enter, there are two ways ahead. There is north, where the stream comes from. Oh wait, let me read the blurb on the actual module first. There we go. On the east side of the stream, flowing from the cave's mouth is... Oh wait, sorry, the wrong one. Just inside the cave mouth, a few uneven stone steps lead up a small, dank chamber on the east side of the passage. The cave narrows to a steep fissure at the far end, and is filled with the stench of animals. Savage snarls and the sounds of rattling chains reach your ears, where 3 wolves are chained up just inside the opening. Each wolf's chain leads to an iron rod driven into the base of a stalagmite, and the lead goblin jumps at that and refuses to move at the barking. 3 wolves in the dark, and they seem ravenous and hungry. Each bared at you, and at whatever they hear.
I use animal handling and like hush them from afar.
Do we have any food that we can throw at the animals to kind of calm them down?
I was actually going to toss a day's ration to each of them.
Your rations, they are made out of meat, aren't they? But they also contain bread.
Yeah.
Before we do, could you please describe your rations just for flavor's sake?
My rations tend to be a bit of dried jerky and hardtack bread. I'd be primarily giving them the jerky.
Very well. The wolves bark and snarl at each other as they fight over the jerky, but eventually they settle in a way that each of them seems to get a small bite as they tear what's left of it to pieces.
Oh no, I'm giving each of them a day's ration.
Hey, hang on, Dan. He was specifying.
I was giving each of them a day's ration. Not a day's rations for all 3 of them.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
So you toss these rations, and they gather around them in a feeding frenzy, and Emily was going to try a handle animals check, right?
Yep.
Very well. What's your modifier?
+3.
At first, they snarl at her, taking her approach to be a threat to the meal. But eventually, as she nears her non-threatening stance, manages to calm them down. She may even touch them. Still, they are ravenous and seem a bit afraid of touch. They look mangy and have a few scars on them, likely from whips.
I don't touch them, but I want to investigate the chain to see if I can undo it and like have a wolf on a leash.
You can undo them. That would be a strength check. And
Okay.
your modifier would be +2.
2.
Oh, +2 because it's not a save, so he doesn't use the save modifier.
Okay.
And they're very well placed with the stalagmite, so they do loosen a bit.
Okay. But I can't get them undone.
And very well. Lionacus will check to see if there are any passages around, as Emily does that. And I will note that the wolves seem pacified or at least busy feeding, so they no longer snarl at you.
Okay.
Seems like you could go past them, and there is a bit of way to the east that you can see clearly. And Hyperactivity sees a bit of head with his eyes, and he sees that while there is a way northeast rises from where the stream comes from, he does see what seems to be northwest. It's really dark there, but what first seemed to be a wall seems now to be a steep slope. So, the goblin seems a bit more, less nervous. So he looks at Emily intently, trying to, wondering if she wants to get bitten. It never go near these beasts. Oh, dark vision. Then, Leonidas would clearly see the steep slope. There's quite a bit of rubble there, indicating that it is not very often used, but it seems connected to something. So you cannot see what due to its winding, narrow nature. So, road specified. The goblin seems a bit relieved in looking around. Yes, you can investigate closer. As you do, you, oh, hold on a bit. As you do, the main passage to the cave mouth climbs steeply upward, the stream plunging and splashing down its west side. In the shadows, the side passage leads west across the other side of the stream. In the shadows of the ceiling to the north, you can just make up dim shape of a rickety. As you approach, looking northeast, in the shadows of the ceiling to the north, you can just make up a dim shape of a rickety bridge of wooden rope crossing over the passage ahead of you. Another passage intersects with this one, 20 feet above the floor. So what I'm saying is there is a steep and accompanied slope to the northwest that is winding and you can't quite see. You would need to. The bridge is, what's your perception modifier? Hold on, I have it here actually.
He listed +3.
I'm sorry, could you say that again, Hulk?
He listed there +3.
Oh yes, thank you. You do see something. The silhouette has 2 pointy ears, very reminiscent of goblins. It is looking it's almost to your direction, and if you were to approach, you would bet that it would spot you. But you manage to spot it before it does and catch yourself. So there seems to be a sentry posted on that bridge, and it overlooks this passage. It seems to turn its head your way, apparently rather surprised that at the change in noise. The dogs were barking a lot before, but now they aren't anymore. So it does not seem overly alarmed. So, what do you do? The goblin seems a bit silent, seems to look around.
So, Dan, every time you say "what do you do," that's too open-ended, especially for a remote.
Oh.
So take turns saying "what do you do" and "what do you do," "what do you do," going around. That's why you're getting silence, because everybody's not sure who you're talking to. Because when we're at a table...
Do it in initiative order.
Yeah, okay.
Emily, do you have anything that you wish to do at this moment in time? The wolves are passed by before you, and there seems to be more to this room to the east. So it is dark, it's hard to see.
Yeah, and I'm a human, so I wouldn't be able to really see it. But I'm just gonna keep the wolves real calm, and just try and keep the. I'm imagining that by now I've undone the chain.
Yep. After a bit of effort, you manage to get the chains out. Do you hold all 3 of them?
I was just aiming for the strongest looking one.
They all look pretty weak, but you can manage to get the one that looks at least a bit perkier.
Okay.
And as you hold its leash, I would have you make a strength check, as it seems to be eager to leave the stage.
Okay. It's, would this be the +4?
It's not a save, so it's still +2 because it's an opposed strength check.
Okay. The +2.
+2. And you manage to keep it. It does not seem too happy with it, yapping a little bit, whimpering, but it seems to at least take you as a temporary task leader, in a way. So, with that done, Leonidas, you're probably off a bit closer to the front of the group, looking at the goblin, and having found out about the passages rather, though you suspect that if you go any closer, the goblin center will spot you. What do you do?
I just really slowly move back to the where the group is, and I say, "We appear to have a sniper on a bridge up the passages. I'm not sure if we can avoid it."
Very well. With that done, we go to Tiberius, who hears of this news. What's his reaction? What does he do?
Oh, and we don't have anyone especially stealthy amongst us. We could sneak up and take him out with dispatch quietly.
I'm not sure that would work. The bridge spans 2 tunnels over the passage, and I'm not sure how we could get up to the bridge.
Indeed. Well, perhaps we could concentrate our missile fire simultaneously to try to take him out as quickly as possible. How far away is it from where we'd be exposed? How many feet?
I didn't specify that before, so I will do so now. It appears to be about 20 feet away from. Yeah.
Okay. So, well within my javelin, and I'm sure the rest of your missile weapons. So if we all concentrated fire...
Problem is, you would need light to see, and they would see the light.
Well, then there's 2 of you at least.
Dan, I have a question. Would that be in range if I were to cast sleep on that sniper? Would he be in range?
I think that's 60 feet, so you're probably safe.
Doesn't it go out like a spiral?
What?
It goes out like a spiral.
A
So
spiral?
you'd be more likely to put us wolves to sleep.
Really? They made it a spiral in 5th edition?
Right.
That's... I've never heard that.
I had assumed that it was a stealth that was targeted and had a radius around it.
Let's see
No, I'm
here.
pretty
I'm
sure
looking it
it's
up right now.
where you're standing.
I'll have to...
Range is 90 feet. You have your number of hit dice. Creatures within 20 feet. Okay, creatures within 20 feet are affected by an ascending order of their current hit points. Starting with a creature that has the lowest current hit points, each creature affected by a spell falls unconscious, sleep, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, you get to pick...
You choose a point within
90 feet.
And then anything within 20 feet of that point.
Yeah, it's not a spiral. It's an area. It's that all within that area, based on their hit points.
Yeah, you come to the target, and everyone in that area, from lowest to highest, gets booked to sleep, depending on...
Is Danielle, either Danielle or Shane, you're feeding back?
Hello?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so the way that I interpret it is, if you were to, let's say, cast it on a horde of goblins and there's an orc in the middle, and if you roll, let's say, 15, you would put 2 goblins to sleep, because each goblin has 7 HP, and there will be goblins left, and the orc will be unaffected because he has more hit points. but it's still, you target a target, it creates a radius around that target, and the creatures from lowest HP to highest HP are affected in that order, is how I interpreted it.
Correct.
So, back to the game, so you cast sleep on that sniper.
Well, he's asking. He was asking. He hadn't committed yet. He was asking for information.
Oh, he can. He can. It's well in range. If you wish to.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I just, I wanted to, I wanted to get as close as possible without alerting suspicion to make sure that they actually got him to.
Very well. It's easy to do that even. So may I roll the die for the spell?
Yes, go ahead.
Very well. You make a silent incantation, whispering it as a sinuous spell emits from your hand, traveling down invisibly into the cavern. And what happens next is that slowly you see the goblin's head bob left and right, and it staggers, and then finally it stumbles. It is asleep, apparently. A successful spell.
Woot woot!
Yeah, I go back to the room and I report to the group what happened. I have
Excellent.
put the sentry in a bit of a nap.
Well done.
Very well, and the next one in initiative would be Tiberia.
Well, then should we not sally forth while we have the opportunity? I look to the others.
Sally forth.
Sally forth.
Sally forth, says everyone, including Leonidas in chat. So, I'll have you move together then, and keeping the previous marching order, I assume, with the goblin in front,
Correct.
Puffin right behind, Emily and all that. So,
I still have the,
there is a choice ahead of you. There is, northwest of you, a dry, steep slope, sinuous. You can't quite see where it leads, but it seems to be connected to the cave. And to the northeast is the passage that goes under the bridge where the goblin sniper was. He is currently taking a nap.
Excellent, Smithers.
So, which way does the party go? Leonidas, vote
let's
for
go under the bridge.
Under the bridge. 2 votes for under the bridge. Any defenders?
No dissent here.
I'd rather not have unexplored spots being behind us.
Very well. Then, as you advance, slowly upwards, spiraling from the northeastern direction to an eastern one, you start to hear. Oh, I'm taking a few too many liberties with describing things without going with the module. I'm not to use the module. I'm sorry, guys. Actually, I do have an opportunity. As you near a passage that seems to widen into a cave, and the stream seems to flow from the east, a large pool. The stream seems to run down to a trickle as you come across what seems to be an artificial wall or a dam which keeps quite a bit of water dammed up to quite some height. It seems the goblins report about a floodgate of sorts, as primitive as it is, was true. and you can hear the noise of a waterfall coming echoing from deep inside. It was faint at first, and some of you might have noticed it as you went along, but now where you are, it is quite obvious. And now there is a passage continuing to a wider cave to the southeast. So your vision is blocked by a corner.
How far ahead is it blocked? Like, so, yeah, if you could use more foot descriptions and distance as you go.
Very well. As you stand on the bend which leads to the east, you are about, the dam is about 30 feet to the east. A little bit hard to see, but those with dark vision can very clearly see its artificial make. And the passage is about some 50 feet, no, wait, some 20 feet, and then they turn to the south into what seems to be a wider cave, judging by the strength of the echo.
Okay.
Is the wolf I have doing anything different?
I'm sorry?
I brought the wolf with me.
Oh yeah, you brought the wolf with you. It
And
appears
is
to
it doing
be...
anything as we approach this area?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last bit?
Is it doing anything as it approaches this area?
It seems to have additional back due to the noise, and it seems a bit afraid of going up. Apparently fearful of what might lie within. It could very well be that its abusers live there.
I keep encouraging it to go with us.
It takes your encouragement, though it does not seem at all excited about this.
That's fine. Yeah, no, never mind. Someone else.
So do you advance ahead, make the corner, perhaps do something else?
Well, the person in front should do that, which would be the goblin.
Oh, you wish to have the goblin lead the way?
Wasn't he?
Oh, he was, but as he turns the corner. So you go on, as this is just what I want to confirm. On to the path upwards. Not checking up the stream and not... May I assume that? Very well. As you do...
Before we approached any further, I asked the goblin, are we perhaps encroaching upon Clark's lair?
He looks around and says, a slow nod, a rather nervous one, though he seems all the same willing to risk himself to go there, or at least take a peek.
I'd rather find the second in command before we talk to Clark.
Indeed. We need to help organize the leader of their uprising. I always say this with like kind of a snarky...
If we could bring the leader of the uprising Clark's head, that'd be much more loyal.
Exactly. So, where might we find this second? What was the second in command's name? Peon?
He's currently gagged, so he can't say much. Though some of you may remember that his name was unique.
To me, he's Peon. So perhaps carefully
carefully moving on ahead.
No,
Right?
no, not yet.
So, I'm gonna slowly remove your gag. If you're going to answer the question.
Javelin at his neck.
If you say anything other than the name, if you try to alert anyone, it'll be the last thing you say. Is that clear?
He nods, slowly, only not to accidentally cut himself on the javelin.
Good.
Okay, I slowly undo the gag.
And he takes a breather. What asked again? What asked was me?
The answer when spoken to by your betters. What is the name of the second in command?
Oh, it's yes, Enoch.
And where would he be found in relation to the others?
Oh, he's on the western cave. We can reach the western cave to go through here and over the bridge.
And what will we encounter on the way between here and there?
Oh, nothing. There's living quarters on the west end, so I assume everyone is there.
Guards, perhaps? Traps? Binions?
Traps? No, we live here. Millions. Oh, some people do grab a drink of water occasionally.
All right. Shh. That's enough. That's enough. Anything you two want to ask?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
How well is Clog guarded? Who does he keep with him to protect him?
Oh, he's a brigand. He doesn't keep much of a guard, but he's strong, and he guards himself. We would not be able to take him down alone as goblins. Oh, that is my warning, at least.
Understood. Well then, so we're going to have the gag put back on just so you don't accidentally squeal out loud or some such intent otherwise. But you have done very well so far, and if you continue to behave well, you and your kind may indeed sup the fresh air of freedom soon.
It seems... You're not sure if it's taking out of fear, excitement, or anything else, but such emotions tend to run really close to one another from goblins anywhere, or at least in this particular circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to gag. What now, adventurer? Do you advance ahead?
Yes.
Will you turn
You have
back,
to go?
perhaps explore
Okay.
further into the cave?
I don't know.
Or the parts of the cave in a meanwhile?
Soon.
Examine the
good.
dam.
Okay. By the way, Dan has to go, and really we're about 3 minutes away. So really we should wrap up and go ahead and talk about this. We'll just have to leave it right there because we're about 3 minutes from the end, and Dan has to leave. So I was enjoying how you're doing this, Dan. Let's get feedback. Well, first, Dan, what did you notice? Ignore the technical issues, because we know this is why the online thing is always challenging. There's always technical issues with the sound and everything else. Ignore that. That's just a given with doing it remotely. What we need to focus on is your GM skills under the circumstances and how to enhance those. But now we have a nice baseline. And I think you're doing this. Is this the first time you've run this adventure completely, or did you get a chance to run it with your friends first?
Nope, it's my first time with this adventure.
Nicely done.
The first game of DM.
Okay, nicely done. So what did you notice, Dan, that you think went well, and what do you think you could work on? So first, self assessment.
All right, let's start with the bad news. Pacing. I had problems managing turn taking and pacing, which is partly due to the nature of this gathering. So even with very well-behaved players such as yourself, we had problems. So I think I need to be a bit better on organization and turn taking.
Correct.
I struggled for prompting replies to the players without being either too obvious or too vague. That's the kind of balance that I'm still not used to doing on the fly, and that can grind the game to a halt.
Mm-hmm.
All the same, one thing that I do think I manage well, though it is kind of trying to compensate for that, is to try to give flavorful descriptions of the action.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the tricks I've learned for that is to let the players describe as they do, particularly in successful attack rolls, when they defeat enemies, and how they do things exactly, just so that you get clear. It's much more cooperative this way, it's fun, and sometimes it buys me time to look over the roster and do a few things behind the scenes. I think that doing this without a camera actually was beneficial to me because I have complete freedom of movement to do whatever I want, to take any notes without needing to have any regard for physical secrecy, which is a bit of a pass. I assume that we're not going to continue this campaign, so if I may, might I spoil a few ideas I have for the future?
Well, first of all, we may or may not continue it, but no, feel free. We've all been through this campaign many times, so feel free.
So, goblins are a bit of an unreliable bunch.
Yes.
The goblin in question was not exactly on board with the plan. He was just creatively trying to trick everyone into letting him live.
Of course.
Time.
Of course.
In fact, you were right as he was around the corner. I did remember that in the next room over, there are crates of supplies. What I would have him do is that as you round the corner, assuming that you let his leash at least 10 feet of slack, you would notice that it was lacking quite a bit as he uses a knife or a stolen dagger to cut it free. And there would be no noise at first, but he would try to sneak around and possibly warn Yimik. At that point, the goblin would actually be ambivalent about the ploy and would go ahead to warn Yimik about it, and he would be interested. However, the goblins on the next room ahead would not be aware of this. So there would possibly be a combat encounter and the impression that the goblin had betrayed them. So the west side of the goblins then would try to go on board with this idea of rebellion and meet them head on, but the adventurers would have to probably face a combat with the guards who would be none the wiser about it and would just be invaders. And that would probably create a bit of tension. And if the tension became an argument, that would warn Clark, and it could end up becoming a three-way brawl.
Sure.
In a way.
Okay, yep, that seems a reasonable way to handle that. Anything else you noticed?
I'm not the most perceptive because I'm kind of flying at the seat of my pants.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And actually, as you pointed out, you actually weren't scheduled till next week, apparently.
Yeah, I kind of.
So
that's an honest mistake.
That's okay, not a problem. I'm glad you were able to do it because I wanted to get you a baseline. I prefer to get our GMs to have a baseline as early as possible before they get a lot of training, because then we have a more accurate assessment of where you started from. Okay, Danielle, do you want to give some insights and feedback?
I think that with the mixture of remote and not remote, you might have needed some form of initiative tracker or reminder, whether that's you writing things down on a sheet, or especially since you're doing some of the roles, I use tents on my DM screen. I think you kind of saw them the other day.
Have you seen us with the initiative tracking with the tents there, Dan?
Yes, I've seen them. They clip onto the side of the screen and you can move them around.
Yeah, they just
some basic information.
Yeah, they just fold over it. Yeah, they don't clip. They just fold over. Yeah.
And they just have basic information for each person.
So that's an addition to your roster.
Yeah. And that clears up your roster for more like story-driven points and stuff like that. Just seeing if that's something, or if you want like the note card with or something of that nature would probably help you a lot, because you were you would go real strong and tell this story, and it would be really like interesting and well thought through, and then you'd have to completely stop, remind yourself what order you're in, or where you are in the order, which is nice for the initiative tracker attempts, because you can literally like move them over if you can't keep track of where you are, or something like that. And it allows you to be like, okay, Emily's doing something. I know her armor class because that's the top thing, is a 14. She's being shot at by my goblin. I don't even have to think about where to find it or which character sheet I'm looking at. So I think that would have been easier for you, just from what I could tell from the other side.
Right. I'll take a picture of my current setup and send it on Discord. I think I actually do have at least some simplified versions of what you're talking about. I have a rudimentary initiative tracker with paper and whatnot.
We have files. I can send you. Actually, John would be the best person to send you, or Danielle, either one. But we have files we can just send you. So
that'd be great.
Yeah, we're trying to standardize. So Danielle, do you want to send them the ones you used last time?
Yeah, I can send you all 3 different types of tints that I've used in the past.
Send them that. And then, Danielle, you should probably post those in your RPG research, your own folder. Remember, you have your own folder. Create a subfolder for files, and you should just post those there so you have them handy at all times for everybody.
I should probably just do a blog review on the 3 different ones.
Yes, but also make a folder to store those files for future use.
Yep.
Great. Anything else you want to add, Danielle?
No, I just thought that it was a great story, and that if you had something more set in stone that you were used to as far as that, it would probably...
Okay. Shane?
First of all, just as a side note, if Danielle, if you could also send me the file with the initiative tents, that would be awesome. So I think we've covered all the, I guess I would call them negatives that I noticed, so I'll just stick to the positives. First of all, I love your use of different voices. I was extremely impressed that even when you went from the cowardly goblin to the brave goblin, you kind of modulated your voice a little bit. Really good setting the scene in general. And, even though I've read through this entire thing, you still kept it kind of fun and inventive. And and especially dealing with the frustration of technology videos, you seem to keep your attitude positive. And overall, I thought, all things considered, you did a very good job in general.
Thank you.
And I have I thought for being a week earlier than you originally were scheduled and your first time doing this and being remote with all the technical issues, very nicely done, Dan. Well done for your first time doing this. So just let me make that very clear to you. And then I have little post-it notes here going through, because remember, I'm always going to look for little nitpicky things to help always give you opportunities for improvement, but always look at them as constructive feedback, not criticism. So, of course, yes, turn taking, and this is true whether it's online or in person, but it is even more so with online that you need to call out the turns, whether you're using a strict initiative or you just think the flow of events. So, for example, you have 2 people in one scene and 2 people in another area of a location. You might go back and forth and not really use an initiative order, but you'll kind of switch back and forth. You have to direct the turn taking on that. The players... if you keep leaving open-ended, what do you do, what do you do, what do you do, and it's not clear to whom you're speaking, either they'll step over each other or you get long periods of silence. And you pointed this out already. So just be really strict, and this works just as well for in-person gaming, that you as the DM, as the referee, really help with the turn-taking. They control their actions, but you're helping manage, facilitate that turn-taking to be as efficient as possible. It speeds up the game. It leads to less confusion, and it's a practice thing. The more you do it, the easier it will get. And with the online one, it's really critical, especially since you can't always tell who you're looking at. So when you're at the table, you can look at a person, and they automatically assume from body language, oh, it's my turn. But with online like this, it's, you know, since we're not using all the other online tools and such that can be used, it's really important that you call out each person whose turn it is, because with polite gamers, we'll just wait till you call on us. And then with not so polite ones, everybody's going to talk at once all the time, and it's chaos. So really be strict about that turn taking. And then, yeah, use the various roster/initiative tracking tools to help you keep track of whose turn it is. With the nice thing about the initiative tracking tents is if they do split the party into 2 or 3 groups, you can put them on different parts of your screen. So one fold is one group, another fold is another group, another fold is another group. And so you can still kind of keep track of turn taking inside of each separate group that way as well. So those things are very handy that way. By the way, John showed us last night in the bus, Shane saw it, these gorgeous initiative tracker, like they're basically miniatures that clip onto the top of your screen. They're about 10 to 20 bucks each, depending on if they're painted or not, but they're awesome, and I might have to get some. Let's see. And of course I got to read my handwriting, which is always a challenge. Use measured directions as much as possible, descriptions as much as possible. Especially when we're doing theater of the mind, where there isn't a battle mat, where there isn't an online tool showing the room, etc. Constantly use a measurement amount. So whether it's cubits, meters, feet, whatever, as long as you're consistent, you can use whatever measurement you prefer and are comfortable with. Americans, of course, are comfortable with the old imperial system. Rest of the world's mostly metric. But if you want to have a flavor to it for the game, you know, for your campaign, you could always use cubits or some other measurement, you know, that maybe the players don't get exactly, but they get used to over time as a relative reference. But constantly describe, when you don't have a visual tool, always say 20 feet ahead of you, you see, and it's 10 feet by 3 feet, and about 30 feet to the east. Use compass points as much as possible, even if we don't exactly know where north, south, east, and west is, even if we've rolled a direction sense incorrectly. So you would still tell us north, south, east, and west, because that's what we think north, south, east, and west is. And the map maker may get really confused when you say north, and for us it's west on the map, but it's because we've gotten turned around. But if you use north, south, east, and west, etc., it's a little less confusing than right, left, front, and behind, because right, left, front, and behind can be relative to the NPCs, relative to one character versus another character. It can get kind of confusing who's left, who's right, who's front, who's behind. So now you can say front and behind, you know, like your character's behind that character and this character's behind that character. That's fine if you detail that. But for practice sake, try to use compass points as much as you can, and that'll help reduce confusion when you're doing theater of the mind style, etc. For directions. As I said, use distance measurements as much as you can. Imagine all of the players cannot see, right, that are visually impaired, and don't have a means of map making. You want to make sure that in their mind's eye, they understand the distance to everything at all times. You'll have a lot less confusion and upset over time. Questions, comment on that so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
I neglected that.
It's okay. It's your baseline's first time. Again, this is just useful feedback to work on. You will get all of this down, no problem, over time. It's just a little checklist to make for yourself as you go forward practicing. Next one. What have you played so far in D&D as a character? What characters have you played so far? 5th edition.
None.
Okay. Is there a group anywhere that you can go play with besides us?
I only virtually. I
Okay.
might go searching here in Brazil. I'm trying to start a group within the theater group, but people are busy.
Either or is fine, virtual or otherwise. And of course, participate in our sessions as much as you can. The key thing is you need to get familiar with how all of these spells and class features work. And the best way to do that is to go through and play each class with different races and get familiar. And that just takes time. You can read the books all you want. You're not going to memorize all of it. The best way is to do the experiential learning of playing each character and class and race over time. So in addition to participating in as many of our game sessions as a player as you can get, try to get a regular group, and it's okay if it's remote for that purpose, because you'll still get the same practice. Again, it's nice to have your own local group. That's more for the GMing side. As a player, just take whatever you can get to be a player. But try to find ones that'll let you change up what character you play. So a lot of one-shots or short adventures where each time you can change up and play a different character. Don't go for a long-term campaign, because then you'll only get really good at one class and race. And what we want you to do is get exposed as quickly as possible to the different classes, races, magic, features, etc. So find an online group that does a lot of one-shots, which there are plenty of them out there, and or very short shots where it's 3, 4, 5 sessions and you're done, and you could then play another character in the next short shot. That'll help you get a lot of those things down, because that'll help you understand how the magic works. You'll get familiar with the spells and other special features. Somebody needs to mute unless they're talking. Thank you. Really nice, humorous descriptions. I liked your little ironic comments and dry wit and such, and I thought your little interjections, both as NPCs and just as the narrator, added a nice humor to it, and so it's a style of your GMing that I found entertaining and enjoyed. Really nice adjectives, especially when describing the goblin behavior, giving those descriptions of their goblin behavior. You used a broad range of adjectives to describe, and that really helps enhance and flesh out the experience to be that much more entertaining. Good descriptions. So as far as your descriptions of magic casting, even if you didn't have the technical stuff, the way you described the magic being enacted and visualized and used, I thought was very nicely done. A lot of GMs don't bother with that, and that's a fun thing about fantasy role-playing gaming is the magic part, and I thought you did a good job of bringing us into the moment of that magical experience. You made the magical experience magical. Do take some time to read the 5e combat rules, especially regarding attacks of opportunity and the various other things that happen in combat with prone position, all those things. Really get familiar with those combat rules so that you understand. You don't keep conflating 3rd edition rules with 5th edition. And I do the same thing too all the time with all the different editions. It's just it's something we have to do. So make sure you specifically look at how the rules have changed dramatically on attacks of opportunity, etc., and advantage and disadvantage and all of that. Let's see. Very good voicing with both your narration voice and with your NPCs, as Shane was pointing out as well. We were able to tell the difference between the different goblins. I can't read this note. You could have early on. You were reading. It sounded like you were reading straight from the script when they yielded, and it could have been a little more interactive in the yielding process. It kind of felt like you just kind of read all of that out as far as what it did, and it didn't feel like there was as much interaction with the PCs as there could have been in that initial surrender stage. So just allow a little more back and forth between what the goblin says and the GM's prompting. You don't have to give it all up immediately, even when they're compliant. What you can do is if you want to make it clear that they'll say anything, say that. Interject, like, I'll tell you anything you want to know, whatever you want to know, I'll do it. Just please don't kill me, whatever, something like that. If you're trying to make it clear without automatically giving away all the information, let the PCs, it depends on how much time you have, but it doesn't take that long. Let the PCs have a little bit of back and forth in that. It felt that was an area where you narrated that could have had a great role play back and forth opportunity. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
My concern at that moment was to keep the story moving, because
Sure.
I thought, the book says that once there's one goblin, they'll give up, and
Right.
I don't want this to stretch over long.
But interrogating the prisoners and stuff is often a lot of fun for a lot of player types. you don't want it to bog down. You want it to move it along quickly, but you want to give them the opportunity for that role play, because that's now where the personality can come out about the goblin and the PCs, right? The different personality things come out. So you don't want it to bog down for a long time, you know, a couple of minutes, 5 minutes tops, but you want that opportunity there for it rather than just read it straight out. Then they feel like they're actually, you know, revealing the information. Even though we all know you're going to reveal all that information, they feel like they've peeled away the layers themselves. And so it's more empowering and engaging that way. Does that make sense? And you did it later. The later interrogation, you did exactly that. It was just right at the beginning that you kind of boarded it all out, and that could have been more nuanced. Read about the medicine skills. I mean, all the skills, but specifically in this case, read about healing, medicine skills, short rest, long rest. Make sure you're familiar with those. Those are kind of different than other editions, so make sure you understand those clearly. Nice on bad goblins. Oh, my handwriting is so bad. I can't quite make that out. It was a compliment. It was something about nice on bad goblins. I think passion or something. I can't quite make it out. So, yeah, make sure you know short rest versus long rest. How much do you know about short rest versus long rest?
Short rest allow the PCs to recover up to their current hit dice in hit points and activate new skills such as in let me see.
Yeah. Well, let's. We don't need to go into detail. We're running over. I just want to make sure you're fresh on that and look at the alternative rules in the DMG for a grittier one. So I personally prefer. I don't like the video gameness of 5th edition default. So I like to use the alternate rules or house rules, but the alternate rules that make it grittier, so it takes a lot longer to recover. Now, for these intro games, we don't do that. But for a campaign and stuff, having that attrition, I think makes it, you know, a better game. And, you know, that's just a play style preference. But make sure you thoroughly understand the long rest, short rest, and recovery rules and healing rules in the main one. But also check out in the DMG the optional rules related to each of those that you can implement to make for a tougher game. Okay. Make sure in the adventure you highlight, like with an actual highlighter or text or something, the descriptive text that you want to read aloud, so that you're not mixing some of the other GM notes with what you want to read aloud. If you look at a lot of my older modules, they're heavily highlighted. It makes it a lot easier. But also to keep track of which one you're reading aloud, because I noticed you got lost track a few times. Take a Post-it and slide it down as you go. Like stick it right below or right above. You know, make a mask basically around what you're going to read next, so that you don't accidentally reread the same thing or read things out of order. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
Okay, good. Very good voices, good narration voice. You kept your energy up throughout the game. You didn't get tired sounding or monotone with your narration voice, which is really common for GMs to fall into by accident. So you did very nicely on that. And as I said, also just a reminder about use distance measurements all the time with your descriptions. So very nicely done. Great start. Very good baseline. You did have a little bit of a cheat in that you've been through quite a few, trainings so far before you did your baseline, but you're off to a very good start. So now just get opportunities to get more practice and get it down. Anybody else want to? You bet. Anybody else want to add any? Hold on, Dan, Shane, or Danielle. Any other comments you want to interject before we finish up here?
Just a suggestion, since you don't really have a regular group to game with, one really good thing just to get your skill up is you can go through the module and just do battle simulations of the battles.
Yep.
So you're good at the mechanics of running the battle, so you don't get bogged down in the mechanics when you're running with people. Because when you practice that on your own, things start coming second nature to you. So since you don't have a regular gaming group, that would be, I think, the best way to practice.
Another way, yeah, and I agree with you fully. So basically, time I was kind of doing a solo adventure module. So another thing you can do if you check out on DriveThruRPG, you can get either the PDF or printed copy of basic D&D, which walks you through the old system. But what you can do is, as you go through that adventure and it says roll for this, roll it doing the exact same adventure with fifth. It's a solo adventure, right? They give you a couple of solo adventures in the player's manual. Play the solo adventure, but using 5th edition rules instead. So you're walking through, you make choices, you're mapping a dungeon, you're playing a character, and then run through it with different character classes each time. So the default, they run you through with a fighter. Next time, go try it with a cleric. Next time, go try it with a wizard. And do your solo adventure module yourself that way. That's a good way to kind of just get those mechanics down. And you can always buy some of the used solo adventures that are out there from older editions of advanced D&D and stuff. Have they done any solo adventure modules yet for 5th edition? Does anybody know? I don't think they have they?
I haven't seen, just because I thought it would be good practice to get familiar with 5th edition, but I haven't seen them.
Oh, wait, hang on. I don't think D&D has, but DM's Guild says there's the Solo Adventure Toolbox for $15. Want to travel in a world where the fall of the dice can make things appear randomly, get completely lost in the book with multiple quests, worlds of your choosing without a DM. This book could even help your world build your very own campaign. So these are third-party through DMS Guild, DMsguild.com. But all I did was Google D&D space 5e space solo space adventures. And there's a whole bunch of them. And they range from, it looks like, $8 to $25, averaging around $10 to $15. There's some even around $4. So I might have to pick up a few. Again, I only prefer them if they're in physical copy form. But that's certainly a way to help you get some practice on your own with the mechanics, is any of those solo adventures. So I would definitely recommend that to help you get that on the play side, while also trying to get the real world play. But that'll help accelerate your process. Anything else, Shane?
Yeah, Shane, I don't think you mentioned the points that I need to improve when you gave your feedback, or at least I don't quite remember. Could you point these out to me?
Oh, well, anything that I noticed had already been mentioned, so I felt it would have been redundant. I do have one other suggestion, though. As I said, I thought you did really good on voices, but if you want to expand, one of the things that I did, like, from a very early age, I watched old cartoons, I watched things on public broadcasting, and whenever I heard someone with an interesting accent or whatever, I would try and mimic them, and that's really good voice practice to bring more voices into your repertoire as a game master.
Yeah, and we've been working on him with that, because the most difficult one we've been trying to get him to do is a United States cowboy, like Old West cowboy. That's the one he's going to have the most trouble with. So I've been telling him to watch old Gunsmoke and stuff.
Welcome, you can't go wrong with the Duke.
Yes, you can. Because everybody then thinks of it. But yeah.
So, if I were to sum this up, you would say that solo adventures, run through the rules, test different mechanics, different characters. So basically, you're all telling me to go play with myself, because it's easy thing. No, thanks, guys.
Correct. You are correct. That is a correct assessment. Danielle, anything else you want to say before we say goodbye? We're running over here, but quickly, if you had anything.
No, that.
Okay. All right. We're running late. I'm sure there's more we could keep doing. Dan, any last things you want to say? How was your experience of this process?
It was great. I was a little bummed out that I didn't get to show off my drawing skills with the maps and tokens and everything.
You will have plenty. You will have plenty of other opportunities. This is not the only time you're going to run this. You're going to run this multiple times till you have it down smoothly, as part of getting signed off on your diploma training. So don't worry, you'll have plenty of other opportunities. So meanwhile, figure out your technical issues so that in the future you can do that.
Yeah, wow, that was super unlucky. I had my phone, which is an amazing camera, set up on a perch that would look down on the map.
Right.
With a very clear image.
Yep.
I have a headset all set up.
Yep.
And then everything broke down at the last moment.
Because you're using Windows, right?
I usually use a monitor. My Windows
No,
for natural light.
No. Microsoft Windows, the operating system.
Oh, yes, I kind of don't have it close. Yeah.
Right. Well, Windows is notorious. You hear me complain every time we use Windows. It messes with the settings. Every time there's an update, it breaks everything. It never keeps its settings. Plug and pray goes crazy. It happens in the middle of our show. Windows will just suddenly lose all the connections. I prefer to run Linux because I at least have more control. It has other challenges. And I'm trying to get our studio back over to Linux. It's just I had issues with the graphics driver on this really high-end laptop because the driver wasn't quite available yet. Hopefully it is now. Anyway, that is a notoriously difficult problem with Windows. So even if you set everything up the night before, if you're going to be GMing, you want to try to get on there at least half hour ahead of time and get all the technical issues addressed, because Windows will just keep messing with you. And there's not a whole lot you can do except just put in more preparation time.
I literally arrived half an hour before I see.
Okay. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. Hopefully next time will go more smoothly. So Jacob Jones says he's found it helpful to listen to the podcasts on Twitch here. I'm so glad. I'm glad you're finding that helpful. That is why we share all this publicly with everybody, so that hopefully these pointers and information and things help you with your skills as well. So we're running over here. We got to let everybody go. We've all got busy schedules. But thank you, Dan. You did a great job. Awesome first start. Really looking forward to you progressing with that. Thank you, Shane, Danielle, and Dan here in Spokane for your participation. We really need all of us here to help our GMs train. So thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedules to help Dan with his training here. And thank you on Twitch for your support and checking things out and your feedback. And, of course, our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. Patreon.com/RPG Research. If you're not a Patreon supporter, please do. You'll get access to, like weeks or months before the general public, all kinds of video, audio, essays, and more. Patreon.com/RPG Research. And check out our huge website at rpgresearch.com. We have research spanning decades on the effects of role-playing games and their potential to help improve lives. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we wish you well wherever you may be. Be well, happy gaming, and namaste.
Thanks for playing.